Welcome to the Razorback podcast. I'm your host, Will Lambley, and today we have the honor of having our first girl on the podcast, as we have Arkansas freshman soccer player, Sabrina Jones. First off, Sabrina, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, and it's crazy how I first heard about Sabrina. I was looking to get a girl on the podcast, and the guest we had on our fourth episode, Arkansas kicker Cam Little, I asked him for someone that would be good to have on the podcast. And before I could even finish my sentence, he said Sabrina, just because he said these are his exact words, that she's one of the best people he's ever met. And I think that really says a lot about you, how something I always say is how others talk about you when you're not around. Really says a lot about how you treat others. And where would you say that comes from in your life, just how you act around others?
I'd say that my parents just kind of taught me just always be kind to everyone, always just treat everyone how you would want to be treated, like golden rule. That was always just a lot with me when I was growing up. And I just know that from the Lord that you're just supposed to just treat everyone how you'd like to be treated, and just have that attitude and mindset.
Wow, that's great. And then growing up, what did it look like? Where are you from, and what was your family life like growing up?
I'm from Springfield, Missouri, so it's just about 2 hours away from here, 2 hours north. And growing up, my family was always super close. They would always come to all my sporting events, be super supportive. My aunt and uncle, their family lives actually right next door to me, so still to this day. And my Grammy lives up the street. So we've always just been super close, grown up with all my friends, being family, and other friends too. But it's just been super awesome just having them all around me, I'd say.
That's great. And I know that's something that for me growing up too, it really pushed me to always work hard, having that family support. And would you say having your family there always made you want to play your best?
Yes, I'd always say whenever they're there, I'd always just look up to them and be I'm playing for God and I'm playing for them. I just want to impress. People are coming here to watch me. I just want them to leave just thinking, wow, that was so great, a great game. Just really inspire fans.
Wow. And then did you have any siblings growing up?
I have an older brother and a younger sister, Quentin and Jocelyn, and they were always super supportive of me too. They played sports growing up. My sister dances. My brother played baseball, likes to fish and hunt and stuff. So they would come to my games, and they would also support me. So that was really great.
And then at what age did you get interested in soccer, or was there other sports you were interested in as well?
Yeah, I started playing soccer when I was about 3 years old, I think. So I started playing on a co-ed team, just kind of having fun with it. And then I also played a lot of other sports, and I did gymnastics too. I'd do flips on the soccer field too when I scored. I'd be missing gymnastics practice. I'd be I have to get it in. I'm doing back handsprings on the field after I score and stuff, which is actually kind of funny because my mom, whenever I got to a better level, she was yeah, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. And then I came to Arkansas, and Anna and I do that before and after games. We do flips, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, I played basketball and volleyball, softball, did track. I did pretty much every sport until I kind of had to choose. In high school, I chose to stick to soccer and only focus on that. But yep.
That's actually funny you mentioned doing a flip, because so when I look on Instagram, I have my screen reader to read everything to me on the screen. And I was going through your account, just looking at some information about you. And your most recent post, I think there's a picture of you doing a flip, because one of my friends that was looking at your account with me, kind of telling me what was going on, said, I think she's in the air, doing a flip. And I was there's no way. I thought he was just pulling my leg, but were you actually doing a flip?
Yeah, Anna and I, after we win games, we do aerials after the game, so we do some flips. But yep, it's pretty fun.
Well, yeah, I think that just helps the team overall, having some more style points.
Yep, it's pretty exciting. Everyone crowds around and cheers us on,
yeah.
So it's pretty fun.
Because I know growing up, when I was playing teams and they were coming in in basketball, coming in the gym, clapping, doing some chant. I was man, these guys are for real. Or afterwards, in baseball, guys that are doing chest bumps in the air. I'm man, these guys mean business. And it always helps for style points. But go along with soccer. Was there an age, I know you said you grew up playing on co-ed teams when you started playing. Was there an age where you started getting a little more competitive in soccer?
Yeah, I joined my first club probably when I was like 8, and then I started playing like competitively, like traveling when I was in about third grade. I think I traveled to like Kansas City, St. Louis, and stuff for tournaments and to play. So that was probably when I got more serious with it.
Okay. And then and I know you said you started traveling when you were about 8, but was there an age where you're like, man, I actually like I don't just like soccer anymore, but I love it?
I don't know. I've always like loved it because it was outside. Like some of the indoor sports, I was just like, oh, I want to be outside and I want to be just running around out there. I just think like the energy of soccer was always just different for me. Like it always like stuck out, was my favorite. I would choose it over the others. And like that's what I would practice in my free time. I wouldn't be like shooting layups. I'd be like outside, like dribbling soccer ball.
Okay. So you always knew that like soccer was your favorite sport?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for me, like growing up, like my favorite sport was usually like the sport I was like in season. But that's cool that like soccer was always your favorite sport. And was there like someone like you looked up to like growing up playing soccer?
I definitely like kind of fangirled like Alex Morgan and all those athletes, but also I think my parents, like my mom and dad, also just like really pushed me to become like the best player I could, and like driving me around everywhere and just like always being there for me, like telling me just like tips. Like my dad thinks he's a soccer coach, so just telling me like tips of what I can do better, like after and before the game, just really like trying to push me and just practicing outside of soccer. So I think they really like helped me like grow my love more for soccer.
Wow, that's awesome. And as you started to like grow your love for soccer, was there a time like where like your faith started to get implemented into like your life?
Yeah, I'd say, well, I would always pray before games and after games and just like thank the Lord for all my ability just to play the sport and just like to have this love for it, and also like all my teammates, coaches, like all the people have gotten me to the point I am today. And even at Arkansas, I lead the prayer before the games, so that's just really like that was a really big part for me because it was like before one of the spring games. Like I graduated early, so I got here in January, and it was before one of the spring games, and they're like, oh, the girl who like prayed last year, she graduated, like who's gonna pray? And they're like, I don't know, should we just not do it? I was like, no, we're doing it, like I'll pray. So I just like took that role, and it's just like been a lot because I just like feel the Lord on my heart, like speaking through me to my teammates, and it's just awesome to see that.
That's great. That reminds me of 2 verses. The first verse, I don't exactly know where it's at, but you might know it. It says, like, don't look down on anyone because they're young, but it set an example for the believers, pretty much meaning, like, no matter, like, where we're at in life or, like, how old we are, like, God can always use us, and just being ready. And I think it's awesome that you're just like ready to step up to the table. It also reminds me of Galatians 2 verse 10, which says, it's no longer I that lives, but it's Christ that lives in me. And could you speak to some times maybe in your life where you've seen that like maybe you're in a situation where like you didn't really know what was going on around you, but just like you're able to have peace because you could trust in the Lord?
Yeah, I'd say just through like injuries, like I tore my quad once, like broke my nose. I just think like through those times, I just felt like really defeated because I wasn't able to participate in my sport, but also just like feeling the Lord on me to just like cheer others on and make sure I'm just always still like having a positive attitude and a positive outlook. Because if you can't change your circumstances, just to lean on the Lord and just know that His plan is better and what He has for you is just gonna come to be. So really that.
And how old were you whenever you tore your quad?
I was in 8th grade whenever I tore my quad, so I was pretty young. But it was like in track season, and then I was out for a while, and then I was just really like disappointed, like sitting on the sidelines. I was like, wow, I'm gonna be out for like a few months, and this is gonna be a rough time. But I just had to like cheer on my teammates and just know that God's plan, it was all gonna work out, and it was gonna be fully healed.
Yeah, that's a tough spot when you're injured or like there's something you love to do in your life, and you know that no matter what, you can't do it in the moment. But that's a great lesson right there, realizing that not worrying about like what you can't control, but controlling what you can control and your attitude. My favorite quote is actually, the only disability in life is a bad attitude. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we can do like in our daily life, and just focus on no matter what's going on around us, just controlling our attitude, because like that's one of the most like contagious things that we can do. And as you went into high school playing soccer, were you pretty busy with like club soccer and school soccer, or was it more like just club soccer?
Yeah, club soccer was in the fall and then school was in the spring. So I kind of had them separated, which was nice. But yeah, I was pretty busy all the time with both of them.
Yeah. So I'm sure with like them going on like in fall and spring, I'm sure like you pretty much had like no free weekends.
Yeah, I was having some pretty busy weekends. And I always like make it a point that I really wanted to be at church like every weekend. And even if I couldn't, like for a traveling tournament or something, I'd be watching online. Because I just feel like that's just the way you have to start off your week, right? Like I would feel so like I wouldn't feel like myself if I didn't have church that week. So I think really just leaning on God, like in any circumstance, just getting around people, getting around community and church was really a big thing for me.
Wow. Yeah, that reminds me of a verse where it says, like, as you talked about community, where it says, like, in Proverbs, a friend lives all times, but a brother or sister is born for times of adversity. Staying in that community, like your church community, was there some ways, like, throughout high school that, like, your church was able to help you, as you said that you always made a point to be in church?
Yeah, I think, well, I was a leader of FCA in high school, and I just think, like, getting like a word from church that week that just helped like inspire my message or what I would share at FCA, and just like helping encourage and uplift like students at the school, because that was really important to just go out and have them also like share the light of Christ, because people like see that you're different whenever you have the light of Christ, especially in like public schools. Like people are sad and people are going through things, but even if you just say like hi to a random person who just, that might just change their day, and you never know how that's going to affect someone. So, and you never know what they're going through either. Whenever I'm going through tough times, I'm like, wow, you never really know. Like I mask this so well, like no one would even know I'm struggling right now, but someone else could be doing the same thing. So you really just need to like uplift them with a word or something.
And what age was it would you say you started to realize like that you had the power to like uplift others, like with the word, and just like that you like wanted to be in church?
I'd say about middle school, whenever I started going to Wednesday nights, I really just realized that like this is how I needed to, like, this was God's purpose for me, that I really just needed to impact like whoever I came across. And that's when I got baptized in middle school, and I just really like started my love for the Lord even deeper, started reading my Bible, started like not just going through the motions, but like developing a more meaningful connection with the Lord.
Oh. And during that time, would you say that like others around you could like see a change in you? And would you say like the others around you are like encouraged more than like you thought they would be?
Yes, I think they were. I think people did see a change in me after that, and after I started going to that. And I would invite all my like middle school friends to come to Wednesday nights with me, and a lot of them were like giving their life to the Lord and just like being changed by that. So that was really cool to see.
It reminds me of a quote that I love to share that I speak at different places, which says, be a giver, not a taker. Because like you said, like you never know what someone's going through. So just like putting others above yourself, because like I love how you said that like when you put others first, it really does help like through hard times. And really, when we look around life, like so many people that we see, and I know I'm guilty of it, are takers, where they make their life all about themselves. But the reality is, like, when our life is just about being a taker, when we come up against hard times, it's going to feel like we're going up against a brick wall. But when we put our focus on the Lord and how we can be a giver, then even when we are going through like tough situations, like he'll give us perspective, and he'll make a way through it. And we say there were some times like in high school, maybe as you said, you were obviously letting your light shine. Would you say there's some tough times that you really like had to lean on to the Lord?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like even some friendships would just like be struggling, and I would just feel that like weight on me, just like knowing that some people like I weren't like uplifting, like helping me, and just like having to let some things go. And I really had to just lean on the Lord and to find some new friends too, and just like have people around that were uplifting, because it can really like pull you down, or like even though you're trying to take other people up with you, sometimes they're just holding you down, and you just need to like let the Lord just like take that burden off your heart and just like turn to him, have him help you like find different people, find different places and different things to like keep you motivated to keep shining your light.
Yeah, that is definitely key. The people around us make a huge difference, because whenever you have people around you, I know for me, when I started losing my sight, and even at times today, like just having those friends around you, they're gonna encourage you, but also like hold you accountable, makes such a big difference, and really encourage you more than you could like ever imagine. There's a verse in Ephesians 3. Which just talks about, and I think we can relate this to like our friends in our life too. In Ephesians 3, it says, with Christ, we can do immeasurably more than we could ever think or imagine. And I think like the same way, in a sense, goes with like the people we place around us in our life. If we place a bunch of people around us that are like just going with the crowd and just like doing whatever they can to fit in, like that's probably what we're going to end up like, more than likely. But like you said, if we place friends around us that are going to pretty much just be themselves and like not worry about what others think, but realize like, man, I'm going to be myself because that's who God has made me to be.
Right.
And since being the first girl, and I know a lot of like girls that are listening, like might struggle with like thinking, oh, I need to like look like this, or I need to try to be that person or this person, like to fit in. What's something you would say to someone struggling with that?
I would encourage them to just know that your validation comes from God. It doesn't come from the people around you or the things around you or things you see on the internet, social media. Like those things can be good, but they can also be bad. And also just encourage them to like check out who you're following. Like make sure you're following people who are uplifting, like showing you like good things, like the right things to do, and unfollow people that just make you sad or bring you down. Like make sure you're just checking in with like your social media and stuff, because I think that plays a huge role in it too.
Yeah, that reminds me of like in Ephesians 2, it says that we are Christ's masterpiece, made for great works long before we're created. And I think that's something we definitely have to like check in our life whenever maybe like the friends around us aren't really leading us in the right direction, and realizing like our validation doesn't come from them or anything around us, but it comes like in knowing that like there's only one of us, and just embracing that every day. And then kind of going back with soccer, as you were in high school, did you start getting recruited at like freshman, sophomore year, or did it come like later on?
Well, it kind of, I would get emails like sophomore, or you couldn't like start until like junior year, like the summer. But I'd say I did get emails, but I wasn't really like replying to all of them. Like I would go to some of them, I would reply to some of them, and I like started going to ID camps, but like Arkansas was like the first thing. So I actually have a pretty crazy recruiting story from Arkansas, so I'll tell you that. So our team, it was junior year of soccer, and we were in quarterfinals, and we were supposed to win the game. Like before, like we were predicted to win the game, and then we lost. And like I had good shots, and then the coach came up to me after and was like, our keeper had the game of her life. Like she never makes those saves, but she did today. Like she had an amazing game, like great job. And I just felt really defeated and down, because I was like, oh, we would have gone to state the next weekend. Like that would have been super cool. But then, so I got home, and then later that night or like that evening, my mom was like Arkansas has an ID camp this weekend, like you could check that out or something. And I just like hurt my ankle in that game. I had rolled it. It was like really swollen, like hard for me to walk on. I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to. And then it was like Thursday night, and it was about to close. Like that was like the deadline to register for the camp. And she's like, do you think you can? Like, and I was like, okay, I think I can. Like, I think I should be able to fully run on my ankle. And so I just like wore my brace. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go. And so got registered for the ID camp, and then I sent them an email the following night and just kind of explaining who I was, like my academic stuff, and then I attached just like a short video of when I was like athlete of the week in high school. It showed just a couple clips of me like playing soccer. And then so I got to the ID camp, and the first session we played probably for like a couple hours, and then after they like pulled me to the side and they were like, do you think you'd like stay for a tour after the camp concludes? And I was like super excited. I was like, yeah. I was like shocked. I was like, wow, yes, of course. And then so I stayed for the tour. They took me on a tour, and then they just offered me right there if I would come to Arkansas. And yeah, it was just super exciting. And then after they offered me, they told me that the camp portal had actually like closed for people to register. It was full, but then someone called and was like, a goalkeeper's mom called and was like, it was supposed to like stay open, like we were gonna get this last goalkeeper spot, whatever. So they're like, okay, we'll open it for 30 minutes. And then in the 30 minutes that they opened it, mine came in during that time frame. So I was like, wow, that is really just like God working, like that I was meant to be there, that I was meant to do that. And just like losing that game prior, like God was really just setting all the pieces up perfectly for me to come to Arkansas. I was like, yes. So I committed right there on the spot to come to Arkansas. So that was just like amazing timing of God, and just I played really well at the camp, and just everything just worked out perfectly for that.
That's crazy. It reminds me of like how in John 13:7 it talks about like these things are happening to us. Like sometimes we don't understand, but later we will understand when we put our trust in Christ. I'm sure at first like you're frustrated, but it's just cool to see like how like God was able to work through that. And how old were you whenever you got this offer?
It was junior year summer, so I went to the camp June 5th of summer. So then and they even said like we don't normally read emails, but we read yours, and we don't normally like watch videos. We get like thousands of videos and emails a day, but then we watch yours and we're like, we're gonna watch her for 15 minutes and decide if she should come here. And so they got together and they're like, yes, she's our player. Like, so it's like the second to last to commit in my recruiting class. They're like, you're our perfect like style of play, so we want you. So that was just really awesome.
Oh, yeah, because girls in soccer usually commit like pretty early in high school, right?
Yeah, they changed the commitment rule, so people commit a little bit later now, but yes, pretty early.
Okay, and what's the commitment rule now?
I think you can start talking to them like summer after sophomore year, like going into junior year, you can like email them. So.
Okay. And once you got to Arkansas, what was like soccer, like was it like, were the workouts and like practice and everything like way different than high school, or was it like about the same?
No, it was way different because, coming from like Springfield, Missouri, I never had like super great like school or like club soccer. Like if I wanted to play like ECNL, I would have had to drive all the way to Kansas City or St. Louis. And my parents were just like that with like keeping close to your family and like being involved in church would be really hard. They didn't want to like drive me that far like every week. So I just played like Sporting Springfield, like a club in Springfield. So just like being from Springfield, there wasn't like a lot of competition or like really no one like super pushed me in soccer until I got here. So it was like a big difference. Like Colby, our head coach, would always joke around like Sabrina came from the Pretty Blue Kitties and now she's like playing SEC. Like let's see how she does. Like let's see how she adapts to these practices and stuff. But I was just honestly really excited like for the competitiveness of it. Like I love competition games like that. So I was like super excited for it to be like a lot harder.
It's actually something I listened to and something that your coach Colby talked about. He said that that's one of the things he loved when he was recruiting you, like how much of a competitor you are, and like it's something he saw from you, like whenever you started practicing, just how you've always loved to compete. Where would you say that comes from?
I'd say that's always just been a kind of a drive in me, just like ever since I was young. Like my mom, I wanted to try out dance lessons when I was younger. So my mom like put me in dance for like one time and I walked out. She was like, how was it? I was like, I want to play something against someone. So that was kind of my reply to that. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, I just always say like I loved playing competitive games, like just being outside with neighbors, just like playing kickball, just doing like anything like that.
Okay. So you're one of those people like it didn't matter what you were doing. You usually always just like, we're going to like beat whoever you're playing no matter what it was.
Yep. And I play spike ball a lot now, like even like outside. I live in the Marshall and just like playing random people, and people are always like, you're so competitive. Like I'm like arguing points. I'm like, yeah, like we won that and stuff. But yeah, just like winning is a really big deal to me.
That's awesome. And that's something you can really take with you for the rest of your life too. And when you got to Arkansas, was there a moment where there was a practice or maybe in a game where it was kind of like something I like to talk about with a lot of the guys in the Arkansas football team is like a welcome to the SEC moment where you're like, man, this is the competition's like a little better than I thought, or was it like kind of like you thought it was going to be?
No, definitely like seeing Anna, Pajol, and like Tank and like the older girls, like how good they were. I was just like, wow, this is like crazy. I really need to like step up, and like I didn't want to disappoint any of my teammates. So just knowing that, like, wow, I really need to step up, and like how the coaches are like so hard on us, but they're really trying to make us like the best that we are. Because I never really had a coach that was like super like hard on me and always like pushing me as hard as I could. But then like Colby and Sammy and John and Sandy, like all of them were just like really pushing me and pushing everyone to just be the best.
So when you started Arkansas, being a freshman, I know for me, like one of the hardest things was like finding community. Would you say like it was hard to find community, or was it like pretty easy transition from high school?
I'd say like with the team, just coming here and like already having a team, I met some of my closest friends, like my roommates immediately, like Kate Carter, like she was just like, we immediately like clicked, like she was a lot like me, and just started like going to church with her, like getting involved, going to cross church. So I think it was like pretty easy transition just because I already had like my team built around me. So then they all just became like my best friends immediately. But like meeting other people like outside of soccer was harder, but like meeting them in like class and stuff like that.
And then I know you guys are coming towards like near the end of your season. Like throughout the season, and what are some ways you would say that you've been like stay connected? I know one of my favorite verses in John 15, it says like a branch can't work without like being connected to the vine. What would you say are some ways that like you've been like stay connected to the Lord like throughout the season?
I'd say like going to church on Wednesday nights, because a lot of times we'll have games on Sundays, so we'll be gone, so I'll watch online. But just like going to Wednesday nights, and there's a bunch of like college kids there, and just like hanging out with them, like talking to them, just really helps me to like stay connected.
And I'm sure like going on Wednesday nights is kind of like a good time for you to kind of like just have like a time of peace, because I'm sure like during the season it can get really like crazy, because like you guys are traveling like at least like sometimes once, sometimes twice a week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can get pretty hectic, but I'd say Wednesday is like such a good reset. And we'd even have like practice on Wednesday night, and sometimes we'd even just go like straight to church from practice and are like really sweaty, like practicing our jerseys, but we just go straight there. And I think, it was just like a good, just like calming presence of the Lord. And I just love to like worship. Like they play like 4 or 5 worship songs, and that's just like really means a lot to me. Like I love like worship songs. I always like listen to songs in the car and stuff, and that just like helped me get a moment in with the Lord, and just like take a deep breath and stuff before practice, and know that like kind of have a mind of a goldfish. Like if you have a bad day, you have a bad day. Like if you have a good day, you have a good day. Just don't get on the roller coaster of it. Just know that it's God's plan, and you're just gonna end up how you're gonna be.
That's awesome. And I think that's cool how you said that. So after practice on Wednesdays, you and some teammates would go to church together. Mm-hmm. I think that's great, having that community on the team too, because like the people you're doing like life with every day, and like you're around almost like 24/7 pretty much.
Yeah.
And would you say that's something that's like helped your faith over the past couple of months?
Yeah, I would. I'd say like some of my teammates really just like being confident in the Lord as well, and just like being able to go with them to church. Yeah, that's really just encouraged me and just helped me grow my own faith as well.
That's awesome. And something I liked when I saw your Instagram account is the verse you had on your account is actually one of my favorite verses. And when I speak at churches, I always share this verse, because it's almost like a 3-part verse, Romans 12:12, which says, "Be joyful in the Lord." Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. And how are some ways that you would say maybe like that verse has helped you?
I'd say that verse has always just spoke to me, just like being consistent with the Lord, because it can just get really easy. Like if everything's going right for you, just to like in tough times, it's easy to go to the Lord and be like, Lord, please help me, like pray to the Lord. Just like, I really need you right here. But like also when you're having like when you're having great times, just also to give thanks to the Lord can also just be like a reminder to me, just to always like praise him no matter what the circumstances are. And just like, just give my faith, like share my faith to other people. Just, you never know what anyone's going through, and just to always just have that positive outlook.
Yeah, that's great. And then, it reminds me like the first part of that verse, like where it says, "Be joyful in hope." Like, for me, like when I'm not dependent upon the Lord, it's almost like my life's like a roller coaster. Like I might be like really happy, but then like when things aren't going well, just like almost like well, I mean, where do I even go for direction in life? It's like, I tell people, like, I'm going to speak, like, even before I lost my sight, I was almost like, I was way more blind than I am now, because when I came up against adversity then, it was like, I had no idea where to go. But now, like, when I come up against adversity, like, times aren't always perfect, but I know, like, I can trust in someone that will, like, guide my path. And would you say that just trusting that joy of the Lord has made a huge difference in your life?
Yes, I would say that. Say just like, yes, always putting my trust in him and just knowing that like the world is just like completely separate. Like God is who you need to put your faith and your like hope in, and just knowing that his way is always better. Like you can see other people like doing other things around you. You just don't need to like hop on that roller coaster like them. Just like staying, like keeping your hope in the Lord and just like being patient in affliction. Like if something's happened to you, just like knowing, like trusting this is God's plan, like leaning on him, going to him first, like when something happens, praying about it first, just like having that constant, just like reminder to yourself to just, this is the way, this is the truth, he's the life, like everything comes through him. So you just need to just lean on that.
Yeah. And has there been some times maybe like during this season or like just in your life where like it's been hard to be patient in affliction? Because I know in my life there's been so many times like where I'm like, God, like, I just want this to change.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, just like having rough practice or a rough game or anything, just like dealing with an injury or anything, just like, why is this happening? You're just always like questioning, like, is this like, how is this supposed to be good for me? Like, how is this supposed to help me? But you just like got to know that the Lord has his plan in mind, and just he can foresee the future. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next, and just always like keeping that in your mind.
And then the last part of that verse, Romans 12:12, where it says, faithful in prayer. Would you say as you went throughout this season in soccer and like obviously your first year of college, like college is a huge adjustment for anyone, but especially like student athlete. I mean, you really have to manage your time well. Would you say being faithful in prayers, like how are some ways that's helped you throughout this season?
I've definitely been like stressed out with like missing school and stuff for soccer, and just like going on big away trips and stuff, and just like always just praying like before or about it to the Lord. I think just like speaking to the Lord whenever you can, just like it can be for like a few seconds or it can be for a few minutes, just like anytime you can get it in. Just like you might not always like have a long time just sit down and pray, but you can always just be talking to the Lord and just like listening to what he's saying to you, listening to his advice. So just like it just helps me like de-stress to like talk to the Lord and just let it all out to someone, because sometimes like the Lord, you just need to let it all out to him, and you don't need to tell someone else. You just need to talk out loud, or you can just say in your head, even if you're just sitting somewhere in class or anything, just like, I need your direction, I need your strength, like I need you to help me through this day, just anything like that.
And that's a great reminder, because there are so many situations like I'm sure you went through, and like we go through in life in general, where it just seems like no one understands, and it can just be frustrating. But the awesome thing about our relationship with Christ is like he knows what we're going through, and that doesn't always mean like our situations can be perfect. But like you said, like he'll give us strength and guidance every day when we go to him every day, as it says in Luke 9 verse 23. We take up our cross daily, and that goes on with our next question. Being called the Rise Above podcast, something that we always say is like everyone in life has influence. The question is, what are you doing with yours? And obviously, like you've used your influence in a great way. Just like starting with like being a freshman, you came to Arkansas and like you're leading the team prayer, like taking that initiative because like you're not relying on like what anyone will think of you, but just trusting who lives inside of you. Yes. And what would you say are some ways that have helped you like rise above storms in your life, like when times like looked shaky?
Yeah, I'd say just remembering that God is greater. Like God is greater than this circumstance. He's going to overcome it. And just like even when leading my prayer, I'm always like, dear Lord, just please just guard our hearts, guard our minds, just like help us to do the things that are pleasing to you, and help us just play with your strength in this game. Like we're playing for an audience of one, just like having that reminder all the time that we're playing for him. And like just whenever like I score like giving thanks to the Lord, just like because He helped me get there, like He helped me get to this point, and He's given me the opportunity for all of this to happen and for all this to just be like perfectly set up. And just I want to share, like, when things go right for me, like I just want to like give all the glory to God because He's the one who got me there.
Man, that's awesome right there. And for any athletes or anyone listening, like whatever you enjoy, like doing, like whatever like you're passionate about, remember like what Sabrina just said there. Like whenever you score a goal or stuff for you, whatever your goal is in life, like your success, like man, give God glory in that time because like that's where it came from. And then and whatever you're doing, realize like you're playing for audience of one. Because like as Sabrina knows in sports, like it's just so easy to get caught up on like, yes. Or is my coach going to be mad if I did this? Or like, where are the people in the stands, my parents or whoever it is, what are they going to think? But I'm sure for you, just having that reminder of I'm playing for audience of one has given you like so much peace.
Yes, and like I said earlier, like validation, like your validation comes from God, not from your sport, not from your coach, like not from the people around you, just like remembering that in the audience of one thing, just like your validation is always coming from Him. And if you're if you're not doing well in your sport in that moment, like that shouldn't affect like your personality toward others, like letting your light shine for Christ just because He's going to get you out of it. He's going to pull you through the circumstance and you just got to like keep that hope in Him.
Yeah, that reminds me of, especially you playing college soccer, just letting the light in you shine brighter than the light on you. Because I'm sure, like being in Arkansas, this has probably been the most people that have ever like watched you play.
Yeah.
And has it been, or I don't know if you played like in like USA stuff or?
No, yeah, this has been like the biggest audience that I've played in front of.
Yeah, so I'm sure that as you said, just realizing like who you're playing for has made a huge difference, and I'm sure it goes along with our next question of, a lot of people in life when we come up against situations where like we don't understand what's going on. A lot of times we like to ask the question of like, why is this happening? Like times can be frustrating in life, and like it says in the Bible and. John 10:10, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Christ has come so we might have life and have it to the fullest. Like there is going to be times we ask why. But the awesome thing about a relationship with Christ is when we remember what our why is and when our why is in Christ, then we can always have a purpose. Mm-hmm. So what has your why been? And like what's something that keeps you like waking up every day, like trusting in the Lord, even like when times don't always look great?
I'd say like leaning on my teammates and just like knowing like I'm playing for them too, so I need to be a good teammate because I expect them to be a good teammate, and just the Lord just like helping me like right when I wake up, just like thinking like I need to get out of bed, I need to go just be a great teammate for them because that's what they're going to be for me. And just always like trusting on Him that He's going to just lead me through this day, and that no matter like what storms come my way, what happens in this day, like He's going to lead me through it, and I just got to keep faithful in Him, like praying throughout my day, just like focusing on Him. Sometimes I'll just like play a song. Like I really love the song like Take You At Your Word. I've been playing that a lot in the car lately, just like on the way to practice or in my morning on the way to class, and that just really like gets me in a positive like uplifting mood. It's like you can like step into the room and just like uplift the whole room if you just like have that strength of the Lord in you.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that what you said about like listening to like Christian music on your way to class or school or practice, whatever it is. And I think that's something that has really helped me in my life too. Just because like when you set your mind on Christ, like going into any situation, you'll realize that like your life doesn't have to be dependent upon like your situations. Rather, it can be dependent upon like who lives inside of you every day. And that's a great lesson for anyone listening to just know that like your situation of whatever's going on in your life right now, whether it's good or bad, that doesn't have to define you. When you let Christ define you every single day, you'll be able to like live with like a joy that like you don't even know how you have it, honestly. And I'm sure that's something you can testify to, like putting your identity in Christ every single day.
Yeah, and just knowing like happiness is like you're based on your circumstances, but like joy comes from the Lord, and just like having that set in stone in your heart. Like you can be joyful whenever you want. Like happiness comes from like worldly things, but like joy is from God.
Yeah, and what I love about that too is like, I'm sure you can testify to people like you've met in your life, but like when you come across people and they're just joyful, it's so contagious. Like it's crazy. You're like, man, like I just want to like, for me, like when I come across people like that, I'm like, man, like I just want to like run through a brick wall for this person.
I just want to be around them. Like,
yeah.
Yes, bring other people around. Just like get everyone uplifted. Yes, yeah. I feel that.
That goes on with our last question, which is there's going to be someone listening to this podcast today that has just got that diagnosis of something in their life that they never expected to come, or someone that's dealing with something in their family or personal life, or someone that is going through something small, but it's just eating them up, and they just feel like stuck in life, asking like, how do I even like rise above like the storm I'm facing right now? What would be your message to them today?
I'd say going to your people and like just really leaning into them, and also just going to the Word. I use the Bible app, and I just know like you can look up just like random plants, like whatever you're feeling, and just like clicking on one of those, like just really like reading it and just like feeling the Lord in your heart. Because I know it can be like so easy to just like see one little thing and be like, this is horrible, like this is like so terrible. But if you just like lean into God's Word and just like read His message for you, and just like know that is like what's going to come true and what's going to happen to you, you just need to like lean on your people, like the people that you have close in your life. Just go to them, talk to them about it too, just like anything.
Oh, and that's awesome right there. And man, I've really learned a lot from this episode, and some of the biggest things I've taken away is how like no matter like our situation in life, just like what Sabrina's done, she came in as a freshman and didn't let her like status or her position on the team define her, but she came in and led by letting Christ like work through her, and every day, and like she said, by always like realizing that like there's teammates that she comes across every day that like you never know what they're going through, and so like always putting them first. And what I want to encourage everyone with listening to this is like in our life in general, like you never know who you'll come across. So when you make the chance to be a giver, not a taker, it won't always like you won't. What you'll learn is like, first off, your life will be changed because you'll realize that no matter what you face, through it, you'll always be able to impact others in a positive way. And then second, when people come across you, they'll be able to be made better through it, because they'll know that no matter your situation, your hope is in something greater. And that's why you can always put others first, just like Sabrina does in her life, that she knows that no matter like the trials she has faced with some injuries, or no matter like her coming in as a freshman, and a lot of people when they come in as a freshman are like timid, not knowing like, man, what is my role on the team, but realizing that, man, her hope can be in Christ, and that's why she got peace every single day. And no matter knowing like what could happen in her future, that, man, she can always have hope. So I encourage everyone listening with the same thing, that no matter what you're facing in your life, when you put your hope in something greater, in a relationship with Christ, and knowing that, man, you can always impact others in a positive way through your attitude and outlook on life, man, there's no excuse for you not to rise above the storms of life. So, man, we can't thank you enough for being on with us today, Sabrina.
Yes, thanks again, Will, for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. And you can check out the Rise Above podcast on any platforms you listen to podcasts on, or on YouTube, or on social media, as we have Instagram, and we just made a Facebook, trying to figure out how to work that exactly. It doesn't really like to work good with the blind community, but we're trying to figure that out. But man, we can't wait to, I would say, see you next week, but I won't be seeing any of you guys. We can't wait to catch you guys next week. See ya.